So back at the lovely Dorset Square Hotel, I've spent the morning finishing up my beta of the triple felt piano experiment. Someone raised an interesting point, and that was, can you sample a performance? And the answer to that is, of course you can. I think it's all about degrees. I mean, so a loop, it's clearly a performance. If you chop up a little bit of that loop, it still is part of a performance, even a single hit. Obviously, there's many things you can capture in sampling. You know, you can capture more or less of the room, more or less of the instrument, more or less of a performance of a technique, a style. So that would be my answer, even when considering a piano, which is why I'm here today, because after a little bit of doubt midweek, I've finally finished the triple felt piano experiment. And I'm really delighted with how it's gone. It's basically because they're on my own brief in my head, and that is I'm working on two very cerebral thrillers. So I wanted the piano to sound like it was actually inside your head, or you were inside the piano. I recorded to a click at 120 BPM. I basically chopped the samples to the grid, and then I went into each sample and adjusted the start point. What I did is I snapped everything back to the grid once I'd made all of those minute adjustments, and then I dragged all of the regions back by one beat, 120 BPM. I then destructively edited to that. The reason for doing that is it means that you can have a fixed starting point, which is exactly the same as the minute little adjustments you made, but 24,000 samples into the actual sample itself. It basically means if you've cut anything too tight, you can adjust it within the sampler as opposed to having to go and re-edit. I then put them into a program called Myriad and did super long fades. I also noise reduced these by about minus 25 dB. This is the sound of it. Which I'm absolutely delighted with. It wasn't really until the release triggers went in that it kind of came to life. Let me just take the main pianos down, and the release triggers are these things. I think the other thing I had a kind of midweek doubt is I forget, and I shouldn't, because this used to infuriate me when I was doing these support tickets for Spitfire Audio. But they are instruments, so you've got to learn how to use them. So the same applies even just to a basic piano sample. And this, I think, is a great example of being starved of resources and having to come up with ideas and strategies to bypass certain limitations. One being that I didn't do any round robins, so I had, the machine gunning effects. There's no point in me sitting there going... So what I worked out is if you spread the chords out, the different kind of intervals in time between those notes as you do it make the brain not hear that machine gunning. Because of the amount of felt that's on the instrument, it dies off really quickly. So I was really looking forward to creating a tension with this, but the problem is there's so much happening at the front end, and even with massive amounts of compression. So I had a little think about things, and I decided to take my favourite notes, which are all the Gs. Oh, I just love that note, and the pedal one. Actually, I took all the pedal Gs, that was it. And I turned them, I did some shenanigans. Basically, I stretched them out, and I filtered the bejesus out of them, and created a pad. So what I've done is I've kind of divided them up, and what I did is I panned them quarter to and quarter past, because with that amount of filtering it made them quite mono sounding. So lovely pad sound. So it wasn't until I combined the two, look at that, thing of beauty, that it really kind of came to life. So, if you want to download it, go to the link below in the video descriptions box, and then you'll need to enter the password Oscar, all lowercase. I'm sorry that EXS is the only sampler I know how to program, so I've not been able to do a Kontakt version, but I do invite you. I think you can import them into Kontakt. You might have to do a little fiddling around. If you can at all, just share the link to the YouTube channel and video. That would be great, but it's down to you. It's up to you what you guys do with this.